All right, good morning, class of 2025. Today is April 28th, 2020. Let's buzz in. All right, so we have new vocabulary for this week. Our vocabulary word for today is devour. So you know what your job is. You need to find a definition of this word, create your own definition of the word, and create a sentence for this word. Moving on. All right, so our lesson today is evaluating an argument. So let's figure out what, why, and how we're going to do this. So what we're going to do is we will understand that supporting evidence may include reason, facts, and examples. We will also trace the author's argument by recognizing how specific claims contribute to the whole. All right? The why. We will understand that when we close read, it helps us focus on evidence that supports the claim, okay? We also, how we would do this is by evaluating the effectiveness of an argument by determining whether its claims are supported by relevant and sufficient evidence. So whether the author uses sound reasoning in making a claim, okay? So let's pause right there and jump right into our lessons. So you already have your word for today. This is your word, devour, all right? And this is the lesson for today. Before we jump into that, let's go ahead and give a little quick preview of what our lesson looked like for today. So let's go to the Google Classroom. Please follow along. So this is our Google Classroom. We have our materials. This is our materials, meaning the text that I am going to go over. This way you will find the actual PDF form for that text, okay? So this is the Google slide. The Google slide is the same thing that you are able to see on my screen. This is just so that you will have the same information that I have, okay? Just in case you need to look back at the what, the why, the how, or an example that I used in the lesson, all right? And then you have your IXL. Your IXL, you click that, it take you right to what you need to be working on for today. And what you need to be working on for today is IXL trace an argument, okay? So normally Miss Hall will have you have maybe like 3 different Google forms that you need to fill out. Today, you have one Google form that you need to fill out with all 3 of the different kind of questions inside of this form. So you have all of your questions in one. All right. Have to hit next. Well, you will see that as you move on. So this is the first section that you need to fill out. And then once you fill out everything that's required, which is the whole page, then you will move on. That way that'll be able to be submitted right to me, and I'll be able to see all of the work that you are completing so that you can get that grade for the day, okay? All right. So that's how it will be from now on. All of your Google Forms will be in one Google sheet, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and jump in to our story for today. All right, so when you hear the word argument, do you picture people involved in some kind of shouting match? They may be what some arguments look like, but in writing, an argument is a text that explains why the author's position on an issue is valid. When building an argument, a writer makes one or more claims or statements he or she believes to be true. Then the writer backs up each claim with evidence or information that supports the claim. Part of the figuring out the strength of the argument is determine whether there is enough evidence to support the claim, and also whether the evidence does in fact act as support at all. All right, so we're going to go ahead and read this little passage or whatever. But while we're reading, I want us to first go back and think about what words did I just read out loud that are also bolded. We have argument, claim, and evidence. Okay? So, all right, so I had us looking out for these words already. So we have argument, an exchange of devouring or opposite views, typically a heated or an angry one. Okay, so that's actually would be the definition of an argument as far as like between two people. But like stated in the text, an argument will be what the author is trying to prove. Okay, so let's scratch that out because that's not even correct. I'm sorry, that's not even correct. So we're gonna put right there what the author is trying to prove. It's all messed up. I apologize. I put the wrong definition. What the author is trying to prove. But then you have the claim, and we know that the claim is state that something is in case typically without providing evidence or proof. So a claim is basically what somebody said, like this is what I said, but I didn't give any evidence yet, right? So this is what I'm trying to prove right here. So the argument is Miss Hall is the best teacher in the world, right? That would be the argument. So the reason I think she is the best, this is my claim. The reason I think she is the best is because she understands me, or she's the bum.com, right? But I haven't gave you any evidence. So my evidence, I will follow it up. She's the bum.com because one day when I needed her, or one day when I needed to talk to somebody, Miss Hall was there and made me feel better about the situation. Boom, there go the evidence. You see how I did that? All right, let's jump back into this lesson. All right, so I want you to go ahead and just look at this first chart. So while we're reading this argument about solar powered cars, I want you to circle, well, of course you can't circle the claim, but I want you to identify the claim. I want you to also identify the evidence, and then just look at like a piece of information that you know that you would cross off. Even if you have to just write on your piece of paper, cross, and then just put like the first two words from that sentence, okay? So let's go ahead and read this. Okay, so dedicating research money to the development of affordable solar powered cars will be a wise investment. First, solar cars will help end our dependence of fossil fuels like oil and coal, which contribute to pollution of our atmosphere. In addition, solar power is a renewable resource. Unlike fossil fuels, it will never run out. Solar cars will also help the consumer save money. Panels attached to the car can collect sunlight and turn it into electricity. So no one would ever need to buy another tank of gas. Finally, solar powered cars will also come in all of the same colors as gas powered cars. Okay. So just from there, just think about what would you circle and what would you underline. So even if you put a circle on your paper and then put the first word from that sentence and then put the last word from that sentence, just so you can follow along, okay? So we're going to move down to this chart, and I want you to know that this chart shows how the author has constructed the argument, okay? So let's read our first claim. So our first claim is research and money should be used to develop affordable solar power cars. That's our claim, okay? So now what do we need after that? We need evidence, and we know that evidence is what's going to actually back it up. So this is the proof in the pudding, okay? So you got solar powered cars will reduce pollution for fossil fuels. Okay. So now what we need now, we need one more piece of evidence to back up this one. So solar power is a renewable resource that will never run out. So we have the research, we have the claim, which is research money should be used to develop affordable solar powered cars. Okay. So then the evidence that we have from that, so we know that this is the first part. So if I was you, the thing that I would want to circle, because we know that we are circling our claim. So my claim would be right here. This first part would be my claim. So to put it into my own words, research money should be used to develop affordable solar powered cars. So the first thing it says, first solar cars will help end our dependence on fossil fuels like oil and coal. So that went straight into my first piece of evidence, right? Nope, I'm sorry. No, I didn't. Because I had to keep reading, which contributes to pollution of the atmosphere. That's my claim. My first piece of evidence that solar powered cars will reduce pollution from fossil fuels. Okay. And then the next one, we already seen that the solar power is renewable resource that will never run out. So what we're basically doing is trying to pick apart what the author is talking about. We're making sure that this argument is a valid argument because they have claim and evidence to back it up. Okay. So our second evidence was solar power is a renewable resource that will never run out. And then the third one is solar power cars generate electricity so they don't need gas. Okay, so if you really just think about what what we're looking for as far as claim and evidence, it's basically what the author is already telling you. So it's not something that you have to look for on your own. It's really just reading and pulling it out and putting it into your own sentences. Okay. So if you find a claim, you have to have evidence to back it up. Evidence is actually the proof. Evidence is the proof. Okay. I'm gonna let you look at that one last time. Oh, and let me see what I would underline. I would have underlined from the first solar cars all the way down to atmosphere, right? And then another one I would have underlined was solar panel right here is renewable resource. And then the last one, help the consumer save money. Okay. All right, go ahead and take 30 seconds to look at that. All right. So let's move on down to our next part. We have to remember the next thing that we're going to read is a speech. And then just a little spill about a speech. I want you to know that a speech is written, talked, spoke, and delivered to the audience, okay? And this speech normally has an intro, a body, and a conclusion. The body has facts or details, which usually include the support of the idea from the speaker. Okay. In conclusion to that, the speaker opinion may be repeated to reinforce the idea for the people that's listening, for the audience. Okay. So speeches have all different purpose. They might be to persuade the audience. They may be of an opinion to convince them to take action, to inform about a topic, or to simply entertain. Okay. So what the first one we're going to read is the excerpt from A Generational Challenge to Repower America by our former president, not former, but it was a minute ago, an older president, Vice President Al Gore. Okay. So this speech was given in 2008, and it Gore proposes solution to the energy crisis. So that's what we're going to read about. Okay. And then you're going to continue to read an article about the importance of laws passed in California in 2012 to adopt the Advanced Clean Car Program, as well as pursuing essays about wind power. Okay, so that's going to be what you're going to read in your guided reading or what you're going to read in the Common Core section. Okay, so that's what I'm giving you the information about. So when I give you the spiel of what we're going to do next in our lesson, is normally me telling you what's coming up next. Okay, so don't be confused because everything that you need is under one tab. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, and let's go ahead and start reading. Okay, so we're going to read this speech from our former Vice President Al Gore, and we're going to identify claims that he makes and the evidence that he used to support the claims. Okay. So before we get into that, I want you to think about this question while we read. So it says the excerpt follows a section of the speech in which Gore makes claims about the dangers of relying on expensive foreign oil. What does Gore claim in a part of the speech? Okay. So, from a generational challenge to repower America by Al Gore. What if we could use fuels that are not expensive, don't cause pollution, and are abundantly available right here at home? We have such fuels. Scientists have confirmed that enough solar energy falls on the surface of the Earth every 40 minutes to meet 100% of the entire world's energy need for a full year. Tapping just a small portion of this solar energy could provide all of the electricity Americans use, all of the electricity Americans use, and enough wind power blows through the Midwest corridors every day to also meet 100% of U.S. electricity demand. Geothermal energy, similarly, is capable of providing enormous supplies of electricity for America. All right, so we right back down to this question. The excerpt follows a section of the speech in which Gore makes claims about the danger of relying on expensive foreign oil. What does Gore claim in this part of the speech? So we just read that part. I want you to go ahead and take 30 seconds and find what you think his claim would be. So when I went about finding the claim, right? So let me do a think out loud really quickly. So I know that the claim is a statement the speaker believes is true. So I went back while we took our 30 seconds to a minute. I went back and I reread, and I was looking for a statement. So in the first sentence, I see that Al Gore makes a claim in the form of a question. See that? So with that being said, I went on and made the claim that we should use fuels that are cheaper, cleaner, and more easily accessible than foreign oil. So now I have two pieces of evidence that I have to back it up with. Just based off what my claim is, I need evidence. I need proof to back it up with. So I want you to think about that. So just look for facts that relate directly to our claim, okay? So let me give you how I'm figuring out my evidence for 1 and 2. I'm going to do another talk out loud, okay? So I look for, in this little passage, I look for the reason, the example that Gore included to explain why he thinks we should use cheaper, cleaner, and more accessible fuel than foreign oil. So in paragraph 2, which is right here, I read that the small portion of solar energy could provide all of the electricity America's use, okay? And then in paragraph 3, it said that the wind power and the geothermal energy could supply a lot of electricity. So with these pieces of evidence, they both support the claim, right? So the claim is that we should use fuels that are cheaper, cleaner, and more accessible than foreign oil. And we came up with our first piece of evidence being that solar energy and wind power can meet the world's energy needs. So just based off the two things that they were saying in paragraph 2 and paragraph 3, that would be our evidence that solar energy and wind power can meet the world's energy needs. And then based off what I said in paragraph 3, the evidence would be that geothermal energy is capable of providing a significant amount of electricity. Okay, So if you want to see that in writing, let me go ahead and show you that. There you go. You got your claim. You got your evidence. All right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue reading this. And then once we are done, you will go on to answer your questions for today. Your guided practice, your Common Core are inside of the Google form sheet that say evaluating the argument. The Google form sheet that says evaluating the argument is where all of your Google sheets will be. I consolidated them all into one Google form sheet, okay? All right, so let's continue. Let's remember that when we are reading, we're also paying attention to our close reading because we know that it helps us focus on the evidence and focus on the evidence that actually support the claim. And we also pay attention to our hints because we know that the hints is what helps remind us as scholars that the author must provide evidence in order for the claim to be supported accurately, okay? All right. So let's go ahead and continue to read. So the quickest, cheapest, and best way to start using all of this renewable energy is in the product of electricity. In fact, we can start right now using solar power, wind power, and geothermal power to make electricity for our homes and businesses. But to make this exciting potential a reality, let's start that. I'm sorry, Miss Howell. Reread. But to make this exciting potential a reality and truly solve our nation's problem, we need a new start. That's why I'm proposing today a statistic, messing up. All right. So, all right. I'm sorry. So that's why I propose today a strategic initiative designed to free us from the crises that are holding us down to regain control of our own destiny. It's not the only thing we need to do, but that strategic challenge is a linchpin of a bold new strategy needed to repower America. So you're going to answer this question for me. So the question says, how well does the author support his claim? The best way to begin using solar, wind, and geothermal power to make electricity. So go ahead and pick that answer. You're going to add that answer in for me, okay? So make sure you do your guided practice. Your guided practice, you will have to read and answer the questions just like normal. Read again and answer the questions, okay? All right, scholars, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope everything is everything. I hope y'all are staying off your parents' nerves and getting some work done. But also, I hope you guys are staying healthy. I miss you guys so much. If you need anything, go ahead and send me a text message. Make sure you are texting me during the hours that I have already told you guys about. Please do not text me late at night or, yeah, definitely late at night. 3 o'clock is late. 3 a.m. is late. Real late. Unless it's a dying emergency. All right, you guys have a good one. I miss you guys so much. Bye-bye.